Hello and welcome back to the final video in the series of football data engineering. By now, if you stuck around, in the part 1 of the series, we used Apache Airflow to get this data from Wikipedia. We cleaned it and transformed it. And in the part 2 of this video series, we pushed this data to Azure Data Lake, and we performed some integration on that with Azure Data Factory. We also worked with Azure Synapse, where we wrote several queries, and we were able to, write complex queries to visualize the different dynamics that happens in the data set. This is the final video where we are going to be developing the dashboard, the Tableau dashboard. This is how the dashboard is going to look like at the end. So just stick around and let's get started. By the way, before I continue, if you have not subscribed to the channel, kindly click on the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. So let's dive into it. So moving on, I just launched my Tableau workspace. So I've just closed this up. And in my Tableau, now if this is the first time you are launching your Tableau, you might not see any open this and that. So you just see something like this and a blank workspace. These are the different services that you can connect to. If you are connecting to different servers, you can see them in here, and you can have the save data stores that you can work with. If you want to connect to a file, this is where you can connect to them, and these are the different types of files that you can connect with on Tableau. However, if I'm trying to connect to, let's say, the Azure Data Lake, the Gen 2, this requires more like an enterprise version of Azure Data subscription, which I don't have. And or if I'm trying to connect to Azure Synapse, I can't do that because I have a personal account, which is the free tier, which I presume most of my readers, my viewers are going to have also. So I'll suggest, once you're done with your analytics on the UI, okay, you can download your CSV just like we did, download them into a CSV or Excel version, and then connect to the files directly here. That way you have more access, locally to the files. But if you're using a Tableau Cloud, you should potentially be able to connect to these services. I just want to put that caveat out there so that in case you see me selecting a particular text file from my system, you will not be like, why are we not using Azure Synapse, or why are we not using the Gen 2 storage lake? Anyways, yeah, that should be in the downloads. This is the latest version, the 37. This was the one we were working with. All right, I just opened that up. So you can see the data we have in here. Okay. And I think we have access to all this, and these are the columns from our data that we have, and these are the preview of the content of the file, which is good. And by default, if you notice anything in here, you can see the country and the city are automatically selected as a geographical row. They are given geographical row, and we have the latitude and the longitude as our data in there. So now the first thing we want to do is we want to go into our data source, okay, and we want to create a new sheet. In this sheet 1, we are going to have I'm going to call this stadiums locations by region. I'm going to just rename this, and I'll call this stadiums location by regions. So potentially what I want to do is I want to get each region I want to get the region count, well, the number of stadiums in each region. So what I'll do is on the left, I'll drag my region to the columns, and I'll drag my stadium to the rows. We can not stadiums. I'll just remove that. I'll say region count. So let's click calculated feed. So creating a calculated feed, this is going to be region count. Okay, and this is going to have a formula of the count of region. Okay, and if I drag this into the columns, you should see that we have some nice presentation of our region. So you can do the same. Maybe instead of region count, you potentially can do stadium if you like. Still the same, because it's the number of stadiums that you have that for each of the stadiums they belong to a particular region. So whether you use the region count or use the stadium count, it doesn't really matter. It's still the same. And for us to differentiate each of them as different colors and the rest, you can bring this aggregation, okay, and drag it to the color. Maybe not. I'll just press down the command and drag it on the color, and you can see the color is changing. And I think we can, in fact, instead of this average region, I'll just drag the region into the color, and they have different colors now. Good. And I think this is good, but we need to be able to see the numbers, don't we? So I'll just drag this to the text, which is the label, and I can change that to the percentage of the total, which is I think this is good. So I want to get the top 10 stadiums by the capacity. So I'll just rename this. I'll say top 10 stadiums by capacity. How do we do that? So what I want to do is I'm going to be dragging the stadium from here. I'll drag it to the rows, and you can see the rows and you can see the stadiums here, but we need the capacity of the stadiums. So this is a measure. I'm going to be dragging that into the columns, and you can see the measure there. However, that's not what, this is exactly not what I want. So instead of that, I'll just drag the capacity to this part, and you can see the capacity of each of the stadiums. So I can now sort, can do right click here and sort descending, and this sorts in descending order for me. So for me to be able to get the top 10, I'm going to click on command and drag to filters, and this is going to be the condition or the top. I'll have the value. I'm going to have top 10 by capacity, and click on OK, and I have the top 10. Good. So I can create a new sheet. I'll call this top 10 stadiums by rank. So what I want to do, I want to get the top 10 stadiums, and I want to get their rank. Okay. So I'm going to get the stadium into the rows, just like we did before, but this time around, I'm going to be doing a sum of rank into the text. Okay, and you can see each of them has a particular rank, and the top 10 I can sort as descending, top 10. No, sort ascending because it's a rank. So I can sort ascending and I'll do a filter. I'll just drag the rank into this guy. It says selecting the top 10, okay? So 1 to 10 and apply, and it's okay. And you can see the top 10 stadiums by their rank. So this has the rank 1 and up to the 10th rank. So let's say I want to go for another sheet and I have top stadiums by capacity. Okay. This time around, I want to work on the pie chart. Okay. So I'm going to be selecting the pie chart in here, and with that, I'll select the region, which is this guy. I'll put it in the label. The same region I'll put in the color so we can know each region's color. And in fact, I'll just increase the size a little bit. Yeah, I'll just increase this. I'll just increase this more. Okay, and I'll add the capacity to the text so we know the capacity of each of them, just like we have in here. I'll add it to the label. So you can see Africa has 2 point something. This is the sum. If I just need South Asia, one of them is missing in here, so I just need to increase the size so it can show clearly. This is one thing I struggle with on Tableau, being able to expand the sizes. You can't see the border. Maybe I don't know how to enable that, but anyways. Now the capacities, we just need to change that to percentage. Not percentile, it's a percentage of total. And you can see Africa has 15%, Southeast Asia, Oceania, Europe has 23%. Okay. Now to the final part, which is the geographical distribution. I'm going to just rename that and add geographical distribution of the stadiums. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to represent each of these stadiums on the map. How do we do that? So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the country, the latitude and the longitude represented on the map. If I select the latitude, and the latitude is going to be the row and the longitude is going to be the column. Now, easily, I can see the map by clicking the map on the left, which is the one that is recommended based on the attributes that I have from my data source. Okay, so now I want to be able to show the different regions on the map. The first thing I do is I drag the color to the map, and even though I don't have any data yet, but it's potentially going to recognize each of them on the map. But I'm going to have the stadiums into the label. I'm going to have the country into the detail. Okay, which includes the city, and you can see them in here. So based on this, you can see that each of these countries have different. You can see it looks like it's a single country on the map, but if I drill down to city, you will see that each of them are going to be broken down into the different counts of the stadium. The same thing with Brazil. We have the same in United States. And based on this, if you look just at the bottom right corner, you can see 167 unknown. There are some locations that are not being automatically identified. So it says for this country, England, Scotland, and Wales are not recognized. And if you look at that, that will be the United Kingdom. If I fix this also, United Kingdom. So the cities are, the countries are fine, and we should have more data from here. Now, looking at the city, it looks like this is ambiguous. There are some cities that are, Frankfurt in different places and the rest. So you might have to fix this manually, on the data set, or probably you fix them in here by matching the locations to where potentially they are supposed to be. But I'll just leave that to you to fix. But for now, this is how to represent them on the map. And if you look at the tooltip, you can see the country, the city, the region, the stadium, and we can also add the images. I think if you look at the data source, and we come to the images section, we can change this image to image root as a URL. So it recognizes that as a URL. Okay. So if I select this and add it to the detail, you can see them here, but I'm going to remove it from here. Yeah. So you can see the images from there by clicking on it. If you click on it, you should be able to see it. And now, even though we have 160, there's a way to reduce this greatly, maybe by half or something. I can come to my data source, okay? In the city that I have in here, so it looks like most of them are having comma, and all that. I can have a custom split or split by default. This is going to split this into two for me. The first part of the split and the second part, I don't need this. So I can delete this second part. I only need the first split. No, that's not what I want. It's splitting Los Angeles. No, that's not what I want. So I'm going to delete this. I'll just delete this. And I'll just do a custom split. If you come back into the city and I'll do custom split, I'll split on comma. Okay. And it's going to be one column. So you have split one, which is this. Good. So I have a new city split. So instead of putting the city directly in here, I can change that from here to city split one, and I should have lesser unknown. You can see that I have 55 now that I'm using a split of that data. My country is still fine, but about 50 of them are still having issues because most of them are ambiguous and some are unrecognized. But anyways, this reduces this in half, so you can play around the different ways of manipulating this data to see what you can do with each of them. So if I zoom into something like the UK, in the United Kingdom, if I zoom in a little bit there, this is zooming down to Africa section. Yeah, if I zoom in on the UK here, If I zoom in a little bit more, you can see that I have more of them in here. So I can, maybe I should just remove the stadium from here and move it to the detail. Yeah, so I think so I can have clearer stuff. And yeah, so this is potentially how you can handle this data. Okay, so there's another way aside from using Tableau. If you want to render this on the map, there's another way, but let me know if you want me to go further into that, using Python and rendering them on the HTML, more nicely and more interactively. So now for the final bit, so let's create our dashboard. Now that we are done with multiple worksheets that we have been working with, let's create a dashboard of all this information that we've done so far. So I'm going to start. We have, I think we have 5 worksheets. So I'm going to put this somewhere down in here. I think I should reduce the size a little bit. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. And then the device preview, I'm going to change it to, no, what am I doing? Yeah, I'll change this to automatic so I can have more space to work with, and reduce this a little bit. I just reduce this maybe down here. And for the stadiums, I can drag this to the left, and the top stadium can be somewhere here, and this also can be somewhere here, and the last one somewhere here. Maybe I'll just reduce this a little bit, reduce this a little bit more so I can have more space. By the way, I can put this down here. You can put it down here. And for the capacity here, I'll just reduce the size a little bit. Maybe this is too much. Yeah, I think this is fine. And I'll just reduce the top stadium by capacity. I'll just reduce this a little bit, just so that I can see all the data at least. Yeah, I'll just leave that there. And on the dashboard, this is adjusted, so you can easily adjust this to the center, and this is our final dashboard. So yeah, we can make this a little bit more complicated than this, more interactive, add some more details. But yeah, this is basically how to use your data that you extract and derive some meaningful insights from it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button, like and share with your friends and whoever you think will be benefiting from this. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.